Americans consume 80 million gallons of olive oil every year.
All right, Starbucks dumping its olive oil-infused coffee.
Olive oil is supposed to be one of the healthiest things you can consume, right?
This is a fake bottle of olive oil. It looks real. It sits on your counter right now. It looks innocent. It has a nice label with a picture of a farmhouse in Tuscany. It says extra virgin. It says all natural. It probably cost you about $9 or $10 at the grocery store. You trust it. You pour it on your salad. You cook your eggs in it. You feed it to your kids because you think it's the healthiest fat on the planet. But it's a lie. There is a very high chance that the liquid inside that glass isn't olive oil at all. It is likely a cheap seed oil, like sunflower or soybean, that has been colored with chlorophyll to look green and flavored with chemicals to taste like olives. Or even worse, it is Lampante. That is a grade of oil made from rotting, fermented olives picked up off the dirty ground. It's industrial waste that was bleached and deodorized so you wouldn't notice the smell. You are paying for liquid gold, but you are getting engine lubricant. And the craziest part? You aren't just being scammed by a lazy farmer. You are being scammed by the mafia. Now, to understand how this happened, how the world's most sacred food became a global lie, you don't need to be a detective. You just need to do some basic math. I want you to visualize an olive tree. An olive tree is not a machine. It is a living, stubborn thing. It grows slowly. It gives fruit only once a year. It needs water. It needs sun. It needs to be pruned by hand. When the harvest comes, usually in late autumn, it is a race against time. Olives are delicate. You cannot use massive combine harvesters because they bruise the fruit, and bruised fruit rots. So armies of workers have to go out into the fields and pick the fruit by hand, or shake the branches with handheld rakes. Then, that fruit has to be rushed to the mill within 24 hours. Now here is the number you need to remember: 11 pounds. It takes roughly 11 pounds of fresh olives to produce just 1 single liter of oil. Think about that. A small bucket of fruit just to make 1 bottle. Now think about the costs: the land, the water, the labor for the pickers, the cost of the mill, the glass bottle, the label, the shipping container to get it across the ocean, the truck to get it to the warehouse, the profit for the importer, the profit for the supermarket. If you add up the bare minimum cost, a real, honest liter of extra virgin olive oil costs a farmer about $10 to $12 just to produce. That is the break-even price. That is before anyone makes a penny of profit. So, look at the shelf again. If you see a bottle selling for $8.99, how is that possible? It isn't. The math is impossible. You cannot sell a product for less than it costs to make, unless the product isn't what it says it is. The demand for olive oil is huge. Everyone wants the Mediterranean diet, but there simply aren't enough olive trees in the world to fill all those bottles. So, the criminals fill the gap. This brings us to the villains of our story. We usually think of the mafia dealing in drugs or guns or gambling, the Godfather stuff. But the modern Italian mafia, known as the Agromafia, realized something very smart a few decades ago. Drugs are dangerous. If you get caught smuggling a ton of cocaine, you go to prison for life. The FBI tracks you. The government seizes your house. Your life is over. But food? Nobody checks food. If you get caught selling fake olive oil, it's just considered a commercial fraud. It's a paperwork error. You pay a fine. You change your company name from Sunshine Oils to Tuscan Hills, and you go back to work on Monday morning. The risk is near zero, but the profits? The profit margins on fake olive oil are estimated to be 3 times higher than cocaine. It is a $16 billion criminal enterprise. So here is how they do it. It is a global shell game played on the high seas. The mafia has brokers all over the Mediterranean. They look for the cheapest oil they can find. They go to Turkey, Tunisia, Morocco, Syria. They buy tank after tank of old, rancid oil, or they buy seed oils, or they buy Lampante. I want to pause on that word, Lampante. It comes from the word lamp, as in oil for oil lamps. Fuel. This is oil made from olives that fell off the tree and sat on the ground for weeks. They are fermenting. They are rotting. They are often covered in dirt, animal droppings, and fly larvae. When you press these olives, the oil comes out black. It smells like rotting meat. It is highly acidic. By international law, it is not fit for human consumption. It is industrial waste. But the Agromafia buys millions of gallons of it. They load this black sludge onto massive tanker ships, the same kind used for petroleum. They sail across the sea and dock in secret ports in southern Italy. And then, the chemistry begins. They take this rotting sludge to a refinery refinery. And this is where the crime becomes science. They treat the oil like it's crude petroleum. They pump it into massive steel vats and heat it to over 400 degrees. They blast it with high-pressure steam. They wash it with caustic soda. They filter it through charcoal. This process is called deodorization. It strips everything away. The rotting smell? Gone. The rancid taste? Gone. The black color? Gone. The nutrients? Destroyed. What comes out the other side is a clear, odorless, tasteless grease. It is dead oil. It has no soul. It has no flavor. But you can't sell clear grease to a customer who wants the taste of Italy, so they have to build the oil back up. They treat it like a Frankenstein monster. They bring in the chemists. They add a tiny splash of real extra virgin olive oil, maybe 5%, just to give it a faint smell of olives, just enough to trick the most basic lab tests. Then they work on the visuals. They add beta-carotene. This gives the oil a warm, golden glow. They add chlorophyll, the stuff that makes plants green. This gives the oil that fresh, grassy tint. And finally, they bottle it. They design a beautiful label. They call it Villa Toscana. They put a picture of a smiling old farmer on it, and they stamp it with the most misleading phrase in the food industry: packed in Italy. You have to be very careful with words. Packed in Italy does not mean grown in Italy. It does not mean produced in Italy. It simply means that the oil was imported from somewhere else, driven to a factory in Italy, and put into a bottle on Italian soil. That is the legal loophole. As long as the cap is screwed on in Italy, they can slap the Italian flag on the label. It has no history. It has no origin. It is a lie in a bottle. Now, I know what you are thinking. I would know, you say. I have a good palate. I would taste the difference immediately. I hate to break it to you, but you probably wouldn't. And that is the true tragedy of this scam. It isn't just that they stole your money, it is that they stole your taste. We have been eating this fake stuff for so long, decades in fact, that we have been conditioned to like it. We think the fake taste is the real taste. The University of California, Davis, one of the top agricultural schools in the world, decided to test this. They went to supermarkets across America. They bought the top-selling brands, the ones you have in your kitchen right now. They took them back to the lab. The results were shocking. Nearly 70% of the samples failed. They were either adulterated with seed oils or they were rancid, oxidized garbage. But then, they did something even more interesting. They did a taste test with regular consumers. They put 2 cups in front of people. Cup A contained real, fresh, high-quality extra virgin olive oil. Cup B contained the fake, rancid supermarket blend. And guess what happened? The people rejected the real oil. They spit it out. They said it tasted weird. They said it was too bitter. They said it was too spicy. They said it hurt their throat. Then they tried the fake oil, and they smiled. They said, this is good. It's smooth. It tastes like butter. The scammers have won the psychological war. They know that real olive oil is intense. It is supposed to be bitter. That bitterness is the flavor of the antioxidants. That spiciness is the flavor of the medicine. But the scammers know that Americans like things sweet and soft and bland. So they engineer the fake oil to be smooth. They deodorize it until it tastes like nothing. And because you have never tasted the real thing, you don't know what you are missing. You are paying premium prices for a product that has been stripped of the very thing that makes it valuable. So what, you might ask? If it tastes okay and it's cheap, why should I care? Why is this such a big deal? You should care because this is not just about flavor. It is about biology. You don't buy olive oil because you love the taste of grease. You buy it because you have been told it is the healthiest fat on earth. You buy it to protect your heart. You buy it to lower your cholesterol. You buy it to fight inflammation. Real extra virgin olive oil is a powerhouse. It contains a compound called oleocanthal. This is a natural anti-inflammatory agent that works almost exactly like ibuprofen. It kills cancer cells in petri dishes. It clears the plaque from your arteries. But that compound only exists in fresh, unrefined olive juice. The fake oil? The refined, heated, deodorized sludge? It has 0 health benefits. The heat destroyed the medicine. The chemical washing stripped away the polyphenols. In fact, it is likely hurting you. When you heat vegetable oils to high temperatures, they oxidize. They break down on a molecular level. They create free radicals. So think about the irony. You are eating a salad to be healthy. You pour this oil on it to reduce inflammation. But because the oil is oxidized, you are actually causing inflammation in your body. You are paying extra money to poison yourself slowly. And for some people, it is an immediate danger. If you have a nut allergy or a soy allergy, this fraud is a game of Russian roulette. If a bottle says 100% olive oil, you trust it. But if the mafia cut that oil with peanut oil or soybean oil to save a few pennies, that innocent salad dressing could send you to the hospital. In 1981, Spain saw the worst case scenario of this. It was called the toxic oil syndrome. Criminals sold industrial rapeseed oil as olive oil. It was contaminated. It killed over 600 people. It left 25,000 people with permanent paralysis and chronic illness. That is the extreme end of the spectrum, but it shows you what happens when you let criminals run the food supply. When you lose traceability, you lose safety, and the government isn't stopping it. The FDA inspects less than 2% of imported food. They are looking for bacteria that kills you instantly, like E. coli. They aren't looking for fake olive oil. They don't have the time or the money to test every bottle. The door is wide open for the fraud. Okay, take a breath. I know this is heavy. I know it makes you want to throw every bottle in your pantry into the trash. But don't panic, there is hope. Real olive oil exists. It is out there, and it is delicious. Once you find it, once you taste that electric, spicy, grassy flavor, you will never go back to the fake stuff. But you have to change the way you shop. You have to stop being a tourist and start being a detective. Here is your checklist to beat the scammers. Step 1, the harvest date. Pick up the bottle, turn it around. Do not look for a best by date. That date is garbage. It is usually 3 years after bottling. You want a harvest date. It should say exactly when the olives were picked. Harvest 2024, Harvest 2025. Real olive oil is fruit juice. It is not wine. It does not get better with age. It dies. You want to eat it as fresh as possible. If the bottle doesn't have a harvest date, put it back. If they aren't telling you when it was made, it's because it's old. Step 2, the cultivar. This is a fancy word for variety. Just like wine has Merlot, Pinot Noir, or Cabernet, olive oil has varieties. Look for names like Coratina, Picual, Coronaki, Frantoio. If the label lists the specific type of olive, that is a fantastic sign. It means the producer knows exactly what is in the bottle. If it just says made from a blend of olives, that is code for we swept the floor and bottled it. Step 3, the container. Never buy olive oil in a clear plastic bottle. Light kills olive oil. Light causes oxidation. Real producers know this. That is why they use dark green glass or tin cans. They want to protect their product. If a company puts their oil in a clear bottle, they don't care about the quality. They only care about showing you the pretty color, which is probably fake anyway. Step 4, the price. I am sorry to tell you this, but you have to spend more money. You cannot buy real extra virgin olive oil for $8. The math doesn't work. You need to be prepared to spend $15, $20, maybe $25 for a liter. I know that sounds expensive, but remember, you are buying medicine. You are buying a concentrate. When the oil is real, the flavor is so strong that you don't need to use as much. A drizzle of real oil has more flavor than a cup of the fake stuff. Step 5, the taste test. This is the final exam. When you get your new bottle home, you have to test it. Pour a tablespoon into a small glass. Warm the glass in the palm of your hand for a minute. This releases the aromas. Smell it. It should smell intense. It should smell like wet grass, like tomato vines, like herbs, like green apples. If it smells like crayons, it is rancid. If it smells like nothing, it is fake. Then take a sip. Don't swallow it yet. Suck air through your teeth. Spray the oil against the back of your throat. Wait for it. You are waiting for the burn. Real extra virgin olive oil stings. It has a peppery kick at the very back of the throat. It might even make you cough. In the industry, a high-quality oil is literally called a 2-cough oil. That sting is the oleocanthal. That is the inflammation fighter. That is the proof of life. If it goes down smooth, if it feels greasy, if it tastes like butter, you have been scammed. The bottle on your counter is more than just an ingredient. It is a symbol. It represents a choice. The Agromafia thinks you are stupid. They think you are too lazy to check the label. They think you are too cheap to pay for quality. They think they can swap your medicine for their poison, and you will thank them for it. Let's prove them wrong. Stop buying the generic store brand. Stop rewarding the liars. Find a local importer. Buy from honest producers in California or Spain or Greece or Italy who are fighting against the mob every single day. Support the farmers who are doing it right, because every time you buy a bottle of real oil, you are striking a blow against the scam. You are saving a tree. You are protecting your health. Demand the truth. Demand the date. And always look for the burn.